I am the sole princess of the imperial family, a precious golden flower, noble beyond measure, but also the most notorious chatterbox in the entire realm. At 18, still unwed and confined to the palace walls, my elder brother, the emperor, could no longer bear my endless talking. Following the principle of balancing opposites, he arranged my marriage to the Duke of Silvermere's son, Rhen. Not only was Rhen mute from a childhood trauma, but he was also so frail that he gasped for breath after just a few steps. Later, Rhen's face flushed crimson from my constant chatter. So energized that his back no longer ached, his legs no longer hurt, and he could sprint for 30 minutes without stopping. When pushed too far, he'd even spring up like a startled rabbit and begin cursing. "You shameless woman." Well, a medical miracle indeed. Hello everyone, welcome to Lotus Tale Studios. If you love captivating romance stories with a twist, hit that subscribe button right now and ring the bell so you never miss our daily tales. Trust me, you'll want to stay for this one. Now, let the story begin. I am the cherished princess my father, the emperor, desperately prayed for. The year my mother, the empress, carried me in her womb, father would burn incense daily, purify himself, and kneel before the Buddha in fervent prayer. Every single day he'd chant with wooden fish, study sacred texts from dawn till dusk, and the words of enlightenment constantly graced his lips. Perhaps father's sincere devotion moved the heavens themselves, and thus I was born into this world. The sky was brilliantly clear that day, the breeze warm and carrying the sweet scent of spring blossoms. When my first wailing cry pierced through the palace halls, the emperor took one look at my tiny face and immediately burst into tears, clutching me while sobbing uncontrollably. It couldn't be helped. Before my birth, the emperor had 6 children, every single one a boy. Mischievous troublemakers who drove everyone to distraction. They would climb trees in the imperial garden, terrorize the palace cats, and once even released all the koi from the pond. The emperor had yearned for a daughter for so long, dreaming of a gentle, graceful little girl who would sit quietly and embroider. From the moment I entered this world, my imperial father spared no expense. He gathered the finest wet nurses from the southern provinces, the most skilled caretakers from aristocratic families, and the most learned tutors from across the capital. Filled with boundless hope, he expected me to grow up exactly like my mother, the capital's most beautiful woman. Graceful, elegant, well-educated, gentle, and virtuous. But from the age of 3 months, my talkative nature had already begun to reveal itself. Back then, still swaddled in my cradle, I could only wave my tiny arms and babble, making my imperial parents laugh with delight at first. But I kept babbling endlessly, driving my royal mother and father to utter distraction. Whenever I drew out my voice in a long wail, the emperor would immediately summon the imperial physician. "Quick! Call the imperial physician. What on earth is wrong with our precious princess?" When I continued my ceaseless babbling, the empress's tears would fall like broken pearls as she cried out in desperation. At 3 months old, the first group I thoroughly tormented were the imperial physicians who constantly rushed between the imperial hospital and Phoenix Palace. The physicians gathered around my cradle, examining me carefully. Finally, they all wiped the cold sweat from their brows and stammered out their diagnosis. "Your Highness is in perfect health. She simply enjoys talking." The emperor snorted. "Quacks. How can a 3-month-old baby enjoy talking when she can't even form proper words yet?" Later, the emperor and empress had to accept that I truly did love to chatter. I not only loved to talk, but I also couldn't bear solitude. I needed those close to me to stay by my side at all times. Thus, my father, my mother, and everyone around me suffered the consequences. In the mornings, when father left early for court, mother was left alone to soothe me. She would hold me, barely keeping her eyes open, only to be jolted awake by my babbling. After barely enduring morning court, I was delivered into my father's arms. Father would hold me while reviewing memorials in his study. Startled by my sounds, his brush would slip across the page, ruining perfectly good documents. I'd grin broadly. The emperor would sigh helplessly. "My precious Lian, you certainly know how to cause trouble." By the time my 6 elder brothers returned from their studies, I had just woken from my nap. All 6 brothers gathered around my cradle, gazing at me with enchanted smiles. The eldest brother said, "Little sister, I'm your eldest brother, the Crown Prince. I smiled happily. Yaya. Second brother pushed forward eagerly. Little sister, it's me, your second brother. I clapped my little hands in delight. The remaining brothers all clamored in turn, and I gave them all the attention they wanted. That day my brothers chatted endlessly while I babbled without stopping, turning the entire Phoenix Palace upside down. The brothers left satisfied, and I closed my mouth, equally content. The palace maids wore twisted expressions. A mere 3-month-old princess, how could she be so terrifying? The emperor pondered deeply, then looked up at the Buddha statue, which startled him. I understand now. It must be that one day while meditating before the Buddha, I accidentally dozed off. The Buddha sent me a talkative daughter to teach me a lesson. That day, the emperor held my tiny hands and wailed loudly. Lian, your father has wronged you. My poor father would rather believe it was his own fault than admit it was my nature. By the time I turned 3, I learned to speak with astonishing speed. While other children were still stumbling over broken phrases, I could already speak in long, fluent sentences. Father was amazed and took me everywhere to show off. The repeated compliments made father beam with joy. Sitting in father's lap, my little face flushed red as I chatted away. The Prime Minister stepped forward with softened eyes. But my tiny hands quickly covered his mouth. Don't you say it. Let me be the one to tell. Uncle Chancellor, what color are you wearing today? Your Highness, it's purple. Why did you choose purple? The Chancellor smiled warmly. Officials of the 3rd rank and above wear purple. Those of the 5th rank wear crimson, the 6th and 7th ranks wear green, while the 8th and 9th ranks wear blue. I am the current Prime Minister and must wear purple. I continued asking. Then why is your hat black? Why is your jade pendant green? Why is your belt golden? This rapid-fire questioning left the Prime Minister's smile hanging by a thread, his face twisting like a bitter melon. Father coughed and averted his eyes. As the saying goes, better others suffer than himself. That day, not a single official left the hall without trembling steps. Whenever my lips parted, 1,000 questions would spill forth, leaving them sweating profusely. By the time I had grown strong enough to run and jump, not a single soul in the imperial palace could escape my chatter. The moment I took my seat each morning before my family, I couldn't wait to unleash my vocal torrent. From the color of my robes and which palace maid had dressed me, to how many birds I'd heard singing, what floral scents I'd caught, or even ants relocating in the garden. No detail was too small. The noise left our royal parents with ringing ears. My 6 elder brothers would devour breakfast and promptly disappear. According to my personal palace maid, in my younger days I could chatter for hours, even while holding our family dog. She spoke of that poor creature with such despair it would flee at the mere sight of me. Back then, my doting father would hold me and sigh. My precious Lian, how did you develop such a sharp tongue? Your brothers must have corrupted you. My quiet mother would rub her temples. Please, no more noise. Mother has a headache. My elder brothers would cover their ears upon seeing me, passing me around. Eldest brother is busy, go find second brother. Second brother is busy, go find third brother. And so on in an endless circle. When I was still young, father harbored hopes of correcting me. Once Lian learns to read and understand reason, she won't be like this anymore. As the saying goes, one can predict adulthood from childhood. At the age of 5, I was sent to the imperial study to begin my education. Seeing me cheerfully leaving, my parents exchanged a glance and wept for joy. Yet before 2 hours had passed, the grand tutor knelt before my father in tears, declaring himself unworthy of the task. My study companion later reported that for every sentence the tutor spoke, I could ask 10 questions. From trivial daily matters to the vast mysteries of the world, I bombarded the grand tutor until his vision darkened and he could answer nothing. Later, the grand tutors assigned to teach me were replaced one after another, each weeping and wailing. Finally, my imperial father took on the role himself. Lian, today we shall study the analects. I said with burning eyes, Father, today I discovered Mother's little secret. Father's ears perked up. What? What secret? I quickly huddled with Father, whispering conspiratorially. We spent the next hour discussing Mother's surprise birthday garden. The analects remained unopened. The next day, father opened the book again. Lian, today we shall study. I gasped. Father, do you know why the Minister of Personnel walks so strangely lately? Father closed his book, puzzled. Why? I leaned closer. I heard the Minister of Revenue is infatuated with the capital's newest courtesan. His wife stormed the establishment with her servants and kicked him right off the courtesan's bed. That's why he walks funny. We spent that entire lesson discussing the scandal. The third day, I grinned. Father, let me tell you something. Father covered my mouth. Don't speak. Let me do the talking. Today we're going to learn. I pouted. But don't you want to know about Uncle Chancellor's secret hobby? Father's ears pricked up. The Prime Minister has a hobby. I patted my chest. The Prime Minister's wife told me. He secretly writes romantic poetry. He hides the scrolls in a locked chest. And so father's educational plan was intercepted by mother, who noticed I could only recite gossip instead of Confucian principles. Then my tutors became my 6 elder brothers. The first day was with eldest brother in his study. Little sister Lian, today we'll begin with basic principles. What is a crown prince? Big brother, what is a crown prince? Why are you the crown prince? What is a princess? Why am I a princess? Why do I have to study the analects instead of the book of songs? Mother said you're going to marry a crown princess, is she pretty? Eldest brother's smile froze, his throat parched. The day after I left, eldest brother fell ill, losing his voice. The next day was second brother's turn. Little sister Lian, why don't I teach you how to make wooden houses? Second brother, Lian wants to learn. Can we make a big one? We worked together. Second brother, Lian's little wooden house is leaning. Why is it leaning? It's all right, just adjust this piece. Oh no. It collapsed completely. Should we rebuild? Second brother patiently helped me rebuild. There, now it's more stable. Just be gentle. Second brother, look what Lian can do. I sat directly on the structure. No, wait. Oh. Second brother's house was crushed by Lian sitting on it. Should we make it stronger? Second brother developed a splitting headache. The day after I left, second brother fell ill from an unbearable headache. The third day was third brother. He frowned coldly. Lian, be quiet. We're going to study properly. I retorted. But Lian can't stay quiet. Why do I have to be quiet? Silence. We will study poetry. The structure of regulated verse consists of 8 lines. But why 8 lines? Why not 7 or 9? The day after I left, third brother fell ill from sheer frustration. Fourth brother pleaded desperately. My little ancestor, could you please give my ears some peace? I agreed. All right. After staying quiet for 10 seconds, I leaned close. Fourth brother, Lian wants to tell you something. What is it? I saw fifth brother sneaking sweets. He didn't share. Should we tell mother? Also, sixth brother failed his calligraphy test again. And did you know the gardener's cat had kittens? Can I keep one? The day after I left, fourth brother fell ill from anxiety. Fifth brother grabbed a stick and chased me around. Lian, if you've got the guts, stop running. I kept running. Lian has no guts. Fifth brother, why are you so angry? Are you going to hit me? Mother would be so angry. Stop talking and run faster. But Lian is talking and running at the same time. Can you do both? We could have a race. The day after I left, fifth brother fell ill from sheer rage. Sixth brother looked at me with panic. Lian, don't come any closer. I laughed and dashed toward him. Sixth brother, Lian is here. Sixth brother actually climbed a tree to escape. He sat in the branches while I circled below, talking for 2 hours. The day after I left, sixth brother fell ill from terror. After tormenting all 6 brothers, father couldn't bear it anymore. He buried his face in his hands and wept. My dream of a gentle princess is completely destroyed. And so father's cherished dream was utterly shattered. My imperial father gave up on correcting me, allowing me to grow wild and free. Thus, for 18 full years, I became the famously talkative beauty known throughout the capital. Beautiful yet chatty, with a sharp tongue that could outmatch anyone. So much so that the position of royal consort remained vacant, with every eligible man avoiding the match. The entire capital sighed. Such a perfect beauty, why did she have to open her mouth? That year, my father abdicated and went to wander the world with my mother. Before leaving, father gave my eldest brother a strict order: he must find me a royal consort this year. My eyes sparkled, and I chatted incessantly in my eldest brother's ear. Brother, look at the eldest son of the general's family. He'd make a fine consort. Brother, look at that young man who rode through the streets yesterday. He'd also make a fine consort. The very next day after each suggestion, the young men would suddenly get engaged or married to someone else. Finally, my elder brother could no longer endure my endless chattering. Following the principle of balancing opposites, he arranged my marriage to the young master of the Silvermere family. I raised an eyebrow. Rhen? That sickly shut-in who never steps outside. Does he need a wife or a physician? My eldest brother cleared his throat. What do you mean sickly? He was poisoned as a child and is slightly weaker than ordinary people, that's all. The poison damaged his voice, leaving him unable to speak. I clapped my hands. One of us is a chatterbox, the other mute. What a match made in heaven. He can't interrupt me, he can't argue back, he can't tell me to be quiet. It's perfect. My elder brother looked at me hesitantly. Are you really going to accept this? I agreed without hesitation. Of course. A mute paired with a chatterbox, it's ideal. I thought the Silvermere manor would be in utter chaos. To my surprise, for 3 consecutive days, the manor remained completely silent. No complaints, no protests. Instead, Rhen respectfully accepted the imperial decree without raising any objections. Late at night, I jolted upright. Does Rhen have some kind of problem? What kind of decent man would willingly marry a chatty, gossipy princess? On second thought, it made sense. Rhen was a sickly fellow, so it was only natural he'd have a few quirks. The palace maid on night duty heard my movements and entered. With practiced ease, I kept her by my side for a long conversation. The discussion veered from Wren's birth chart and family background to his upbringing, appearance, and just how frail he really was. Even though I'm the biggest gossip in the capital, Rhen rarely made public appearances, so there were hardly any rumors about him. I only heard that once, a noble lady caught a glimpse of him and exclaimed he didn't seem like a mortal man. From then on, she fell hopelessly in love with him and vowed to marry no one else. After a night-long conversation, my curiosity about Rhen grew even stronger. The next morning, I woke up refreshed. Gossip always gives me a second wind. In contrast, my personal maid was listless with dark circles. I thoughtfully granted her extended leave and summoned my guards. Come, let's see what my future consort looks like. I have been a chatterbox for 18 years, and I know appearances can be deceiving. To truly see what kind of person Rhen was, I had to take an unconventional approach. I chose to sneak in by climbing over the wall. Rhen lived year-round in a manor outside the capital for health reasons. In the desolate wilderness, the vast estate stood alone. Even in broad daylight, scarcely a soul could be seen, which made it convenient for me to sneak in. Climbing over the wall, I gazed out at the profound silence. I rarely experienced such quiet moments. In the courtyard, an ancient pavilion stood by the water. Hundreds of flowers bloomed, yet none compared to the breathtaking beauty of the person in the pavilion. Tall and straight, dressed in snow-white robes, with an ethereal aura. His face was devoid of color, even his lips tinged with deathly pallor, yet paired with an innate elegance that made him seem like an immortal. I clicked my tongue in admiration. But just as Rhen took a single step out of the pavilion, he halted abruptly, his brows knitting as pallor washed over his face. I couldn't help but murmur, graceful as a delicate flower reflected in water, movements like a tender willow swaying in the breeze. What a perfect fairy. Wren's figure froze momentarily. After walking a few steps, his breathing became rapid. I shook my head with satisfaction. Delicate brows knit in a faint frown, bearing the fragile air of one ailing. Truly a little immortal. Wren's face flushed, his breathing uneven. I heaved a sigh. Step by step, pausing to catch his breath. Is this man even capable? The next moment, Wren's gaze landed precisely on me, his eyes carrying a hint of glaring anger. I awkwardly forced a smile. "Young Master Wren, are you feeling all right?" Realizing my blunder, I hastily tried to correct myself. "No, I wasn't saying you're not capable. You just don't look very capable." Wren's eyes darkened with anger, glaring wide. His lips moved soundlessly. I breathed a sigh of relief, definitely mute. I spoke rapidly. "Lord Wren, I didn't mean to imply you're incapable. Look at this sky, boundless and clear. Look at this breeze, gentle and warm. Look at this water, crystal clear. Look at these flowers, blooming in splendor. And look at you, a celestial being. How could you possibly not be capable? You can do it." Wren's expression darkened amidst my endless chatter. When he could bear it no longer, he began gesturing wildly. A sudden inspiration struck me. I grabbed his hands, tears welling up. "Young Master Wren, I knew you wouldn't mind my chattering." Immediately, the courtyard echoed with my ceaseless chatter. Wren would gesture a few times, and I'd rattle off 10 sentences. Gradually, Wren's chest heaved violently, his cheeks flushing crimson. On his fair skin, the veins on his forehead stood out. His eyes seemed to spark with fire, his lips rapidly parting and closing. A clear, mellow voice stumbled by my ear. You, shut up." I recoiled in terror. "Wait, who's speaking?" I stared in shock. "Oh wow, a medical miracle," the mute spoke. Wren seemed to suddenly wake up and shut his mouth, falling silent with an angry expression. He immediately turned and walked away. Wren's personal guard eagerly approached. "Princess, you're truly amazing. My master actually spoke." "Yeah, I never thought I had this ability either." Wren's personal guard was named Dao. True to his name, he was a towering, strapping man who took everything literally. Along the way, he answered every question in great detail. According to Dao, when Wren was 10 years old, he was severely poisoned, which caused his health to deteriorate and left him mute. Though his voice eventually recovered, it left him with severe psychological trauma. Despite being physically capable of speech, he couldn't utter a word. Dao's eyes welled up with tears. "For over a decade, this is the first time I've heard my master speak. Your Highness, I truly can't thank you enough." Then he managed to say, "Your Highness, you and my master are absolutely a match made in heaven." I thought about Wren's flushed face and nodded. Indeed, ever since I arrived, even this delicate one has gained a bit more vitality. I asked Dao, "When did your master notice me?" Dao answered honestly. "From the moment Her Highness spoke her first word." I raised an eyebrow, shocked. "How could that be?" "I was sure I spoke very softly." Dao stammered. "The master has had exceptionally sharp hearing since childhood." I thought about what I'd said. To have been caught gossiping behind someone's back, and by the very person in question. A wave of embarrassment welled up inside me. I'm such a wretch. But I didn't escape. Dao kept me at the estate and even moved my guest room next to Wren's. Dao said earnestly, "This will make it easier for Her Highness to assist in treating the master." Noticing the slip, Dao blushed. "I mean, it'll make it easier for Her Highness and the master to cultivate their relationship." I solemnly declared, "I really don't know how to cure muteness." Dao nodded vigorously, his face filled with unwavering belief. I turned and saw Wren's utterly speechless expression. He gestured animatedly at Dao. It suddenly made sense. Wren was saying Dao was a fool. I thought and thought. 3 people in one manor, a chatterbox, a mute, and a fool. What a perfect combination. I began treating Wren's condition. Oh wait. No, I was cultivating feelings with him. Early in the morning, Wren opened the window, and I called out from a distance. "Young Master Wren, have you eaten yet?" He didn't answer. I kept chattering away. "Young Master Wren, the food here is too bland. I want something spicy. I see you've been raising koi, they're too thin. Master Wren, who tends to the flowers? They're exceptionally well cultivated. Master Wren, your complexion looks even paler today. Perhaps you should drink more hot water." With a sharp crack, the wooden window was slammed shut. I sighed, feeling bored. I hadn't even warmed up my voice yet. Counting the people in this manor, there were only 3. If I didn't bother Rhen, that left only the rigid Dao. The moment I stopped talking, all my energy drained away. Before I could seek out Dao, he came knocking. Your Highness, the master asked me to show you around the estate. My eyes darted around. Where's Rhen? He should be doing this. Dao answered honestly. The master is in poor health and needs quiet rest. Before Dao could finish, I turned and knocked on Ren's door. After 3 knocks, the door opened, revealing a fully dressed and composed Rhen. My eyes instantly lit up as words of praise poured from my lips. Young Master Rhen possesses divine grace and peerless talent. With celestial beauty, should you appear on the streets, you'd surely cause such a stir that they'd crowd to see you. I kept up this torrent of flattery the entire way, leaving Dao utterly dumbstruck. Dao stumbled over his words. Her Highness the Princess truly lives up to her reputation. I smiled bashfully. Rhen kept restraining himself, repeatedly attempting to gesture, only to be interrupted. In utter despair, Rhen had no choice but to quicken his pace, his face flushed and breath ragged, yet refusing to slow down. Exhausted from walking, I stopped to rest, gulping down cup after cup of tea. Rhen sat panting on the stone bench, his face even more flushed than the delicate flowers in the courtyard. I clicked my tongue. Young Master Rhen, if you were a woman, you'd be swept off your feet. After saying this, I added sheepishly, oh, you've already been swept up, and the one who did it was me. Rhen calmed his breath, gesturing toward me. Dao translated. The master says, Your Highness, speak less, speak less. That's the one thing I can't do. I spent all day chattering around Rhen. From what I ate in the morning to what Rhen liked to eat, I even prattled on about every bit of gossip from my 18 years in the capital. Rhen would often start with an indifferent expression, then gradually twist into a pained grimace, and when it became unbearable, would simply turn and flee. He ran ridiculously slowly, so I caught up with him in just a few strides. While showing concern, I kept chattering in his ear. His complexion grew increasingly flushed. I felt immensely relieved. The sickly beauty who used to gasp after every step now only panted after every 3 steps. Ren's face changed colors upon hearing these words. He no longer gestured at me now, he couldn't keep up with my speaking speed. So after I'd said 10 or 20 sentences, Rhen would just nod and shake his head, then quicken his pace to distance himself. By the end of the day, I had spoken to my heart's content. Rhen stared blankly, his legs sore as he collapsed onto the bed. I said excitedly, Master Rhen, let's continue tomorrow. Rhen nodded and shook his head numbly. Dao's eyes welled up. My master hasn't gone out like this in so long. Rhen started avoiding me. The manor was so vast, perfect for hide and seek. Once again, I caught Rhen. He sat beneath the shade of a lush tree, sunlight falling into his eyes, beautiful, fragile, ethereal. I quickly stepped forward and grabbed his sleeve, smiling brightly. I've caught you. He froze, looking at me with deep eyes. In an instant, a smile bloomed at the corners of his lips like winter snow melting into spring blossoms. I suddenly felt as though I were drunk. When one is drunk, the urge to speak becomes irresistible. Words poured out in an endless torrent. Half an hour later, the smile on Ren's face vanished. His fingers pressed against his temples as he gave me a helpless glance. I covered my mouth, allowing him a moment to catch his breath. Wonderful. Today, Ren's tolerance for me had risen yet another notch. I chuckled. Master Rhen, aren't I impressive? Dao had appeared soundlessly nearby. Rhen cast a meaningful glance at Dao, and the giant shrank back. I stepped forward with a grin. Young Master Rhen, would you like to know why Dao helped me? Rhen let out an almost inaudible sigh and nodded slightly, every movement carrying helplessness and a touch of indulgence. I excitedly opened the floodgates. If Dao helps me, he's helping you. Once I've cured you, you'll be mine. We'll wait for an auspicious day, and I'll tie up my beautiful husband and take him back to my princess's mansion. Amid spring flowers and autumn moons, beneath warm red bed curtains, I'll make you my consort in every sense. Ren's face turned pale, then red, then pale again. When he couldn't bear to listen any longer, he shot me an angry glare, then hopped up like a rabbit and stumbled away. Shameless. With that, he turned tail and fled. I stood there clutching my sides with laughter. After a good long while, I finally got up to chase after him. When I finally found him, I was completely exhausted, panting heavily as I gulped down water. Meanwhile, Rhen sat leisurely in the pavilion, unhurriedly sipping tea with perfect composure. Straightening up, I was utterly baffled. No way. Where's my big sickly weakling? How come now his back doesn't ache, his legs don't hurt, and he can run for half an hour without stopping? Dao met my puzzled gaze and sheepishly explained. The master's constitution wasn't that poor to begin with. He just never liked moving around much. These days of constant movement have proven beneficial. My gaze fell upon Rhen, and that unyielding spirit surged within me. With a loud smack, I slammed my palm on the table. Rhen, let's go again. And then I was promptly bundled up and thrown out of the manor. Sitting in the swaying carriage, I grew so bored I nearly dozed off. Without Rhen around, even my desire to speak diminished. I was captured and brought back by my emperor brother. Having wandered too freely in the countryside, I hadn't realized how swiftly months had passed. The wedding day was suddenly upon us. To ensure my marriage ceremony would proceed smoothly, my emperor brother sent men to retrieve me. Yet, though the heavens and earth were favorable, human affairs were not. These were my last thoughts before losing consciousness. I couldn't help but let out a bitter laugh. Careless of me, gossip led me astray. I woke from unconsciousness, my head heavy and muddled. Opening my eyes, I saw a strange girl in a bright red wedding dress. I came to my senses in a daze. Isn't this the illegitimate daughter of the junior minister's family? My mind raced as gossip about the junior minister's household flashed through my memory. The minister's inner household was anything but peaceful. A principal wife with multiple concubines, each a master of intrigue. 6 young masters and 8 young ladies, and apart from 2 born to the principal wife, the rest were children of concubines. The maiden before me had delicate features, a beauty mark beneath her eye. It was precisely this beauty mark that rekindled my memory. Born to the minister's 7th concubine, was infamously known as a master of schemes. The minister doted on her completely. If she had any flaw, it was that her love-struck mind knew no equal. Having secret affairs with her cousin, eloping with a penniless scholar, engaging in romance with an official's son, each ending in disaster. Despite all this, the minister suppressed every incident. But what did this have to do with me? I saw that I had woken up. Her expression turned fierce, a flash of madness in her eyes. You, a princess no one dares to marry, what right do you have to wed Brother Rhen? You're utterly unworthy. With a snap of my lips, I cut her off. Words poured out rapid fire. If I'm not worthy, then you are. Who do you think you are? A rat in the gutter. If your words were spread today, it would be the biggest joke under heaven. Who do you think you are? The unknown daughter of a minor minister. If you hadn't kidnapped the princess today, do you think anyone would even know your name? You dare to covet Rhen? Rhen is the sole heir of the Duke of Silvermere, while you're just a low-born daughter, utterly mismatch. Do you really think Rhen would spare you a glance? This is pure delusion. Oh, now I remember. I heard there's a woman in the capital who fell in love with Rhen at first sight and swore to marry no one else. Could that be you? You're utterly spoiled, completely lacking self-awareness. Who do you think you are? Do you really believe you're special? Rhen may not speak, but he's not blind. All that love at first sight nonsense is rubbish. Do you really think Rhen would remember you? In his eyes, you're absolutely nothing. Mai opened her mouth, lips trembling, but she couldn't find a chance to interrupt. My words stunned her into stillness. Her expression darkened, and the look she gave me grew increasingly venomous. My throat went hoarse before I finally stopped. Under normal circumstances, I could have kept swearing for another hour. Mai sneered coldly, the blade in her hand glinting as she advanced. Her Highness's reputation for sharp words is well earned. Since you're so eloquent, I'll just cut out your tongue and silence you forever. She advanced with a dagger, clad in red, her face twisted like a bloodthirsty ghost. My entire body turned ice cold, and I instinctively shut my eyes. Indeed, after years of reckless arrogance, I was finally going to suffer because of this mouth of mine. Sharp fingertips gripped my chin as the cold blade drew closer. At the critical moment, a whistling sound pierced through the air. Immediately after, Mai's agonized scream echoed throughout the room. I opened my eyes to see Mai writhing in pain. A sharp, blood-stained arrow had pierced clean through her palm. The door was blasted open with a thunderous crash, and Rhen, clad in a vibrant red wedding robe, strode toward me. He looked like an avenging angel. The moment my limbs were freed, I wailed and threw myself into Rhen's arms. "Rhen, you finally came. I was so scared." Rhen staggered before steadying himself. I hazily remembered that my consort was supposed to be sickly. Raising my eyes, I met Rhen's face full of concern. He slowly patted my back, his lips parting. For a long while, distinct words tumbled out. "Lian. Lian, you're safe now." My eyes suddenly grew warm, and my heart was overwhelmed with emotion. He was calling my name. The first time he'd called my name. I opened my mouth, but found my throat choked, unable to utter a word. Mai's palms were dripping with blood, yet she lunged desperately at Rhen. Rhen swiftly pulled me back into his arms. Mai clutched at Ren's sleeve, tears streaming. "Brother Rhen, have you truly forgotten me? When we first met, it was you who saw me alone outside and kindly gave me a ride back. From that moment on, I kept you in my heart. I believed all those vows we made beneath the blossoms and moonlight. Brother Rhen, do you remember?" With each word Mai spoke, Ren's expression grew increasingly somber. Finally, he couldn't contain himself and leapt up with a torrent of curses. Slander. Pure slander. I struggled to suppress my laughter when pushed to the brink. Even a mute might start talking. Rhen yanked his sleeve from Mai's grasp with disgust, retreating while muttering, "I didn't. This is slander." He turned to look at me. "Lian, you have to believe me." Dao immediately dropped to one knee. "Your Highness. Nothing of the sort happened. Please don't abandon my master." I soothingly patted Ren's hand. "Rhen, I believe in you. Since you saved my life, it's only right that I offer myself in return." Ren's face turned even redder. Surrounded by the imperial cavalry, Mai was forced to kneel. The junior minister arrived, tears streaming down his face, crying out his innocence. The full story emerged. After being abandoned by lovers multiple times, Mai became mentally unstable. When Rhen first met her and extended a helping hand, she mistakenly believed he was deeply in love with her. In her mind, Rhen was the one who shared moonlit moments with her. Whereas in her heart, I was the tyrannical princess who tore apart a loving couple. On the day of my wedding to Rhen, she lured me with gossip, kidnapped me, and sought to eliminate me. Fortunately, Rhen found me in time, or the consequences would have been unthinkable. Having uncovered the whole story, I heaved a sigh of relief. I knew all along that someone as introverted as Rhen couldn't possibly have any connection with a delusional woman like Mai. While the death penalty may be avoided, living punishment is inevitable. The emperor ordered the minister's family imprisoned, with final judgment after the grand wedding. However, attempting to kill a princess is unforgivable. The wedding proceeded as scheduled. Amidst the clamor of gongs and drums, Rhen and I knelt and bowed, becoming husband and wife. After drinking the ceremonial wine, I smiled brightly and swiftly placed the red bridal veil over Ren's head. "Now you're the bride." The veil was gently lifted, revealing Ren's breathtaking face. I lifted his chin with my fingers. "My dear husband, once you enter the princess's manor, there's no escaping." Two rosy clouds bloomed on his cheeks, glowing enchantingly under the candlelight. My thoughts stirred, and in an instant, I closed the distance. I pinned him beneath me, his robe slipping away under my fingers, my breath hot against his ear as my hands traced patterns across his skin. His face flushed crimson under my whispered words. Pushed to desperation, he flipped me over with reddened eyes. His hands pinned me to the bed, lips parting as he stammered, "Shameless, wanton." He pressed down upon me, pinning me to the bed. Those arms held me immobile. I wondered how a sickly man could possess such strength. He bit down on my collarbone, the pain snapping me back to reality. I heard him speak clearly by my ear. "Keep talking. Don't stop." Ren's POV. My world was once silent until her arrival filled it with boundless vitality. Amidst the constant noise, there are moments when I yearn to return to tranquility, yet I wouldn't trade this for anything. I am Rhen, the sole heir of the Duke of Silvermere. By all rights, I should have developed a prideful temperament. But the turning point came in my 10th year. That year, while my father was away in battle, an uninvited guest arrived. At first sight, I felt inexplicable aversion. It wasn't until years later that I realized my aversion stemmed from the way my mother looked at him, a gaze filled with love and pain. Before he appeared, I believed I lived in a happy family. My father was the Duke, holding military power, the hero in my heart. My mother was gentle and virtuous, though after giving birth to me, her health declined sharply. She seldom smiled, often melancholic, yet every gesture carried such gentleness. My parents were that devoted couple in folk songs until he appeared, and everything turned upside down. His name was Jobai, claiming to be an ordinary physician. But this physician managed to save my mother when all other doctors had given up. That day, all unnecessary personnel were driven out. Worried about my mother, I hid beneath the table. I witnessed this man holding my mother's hand, sobbing and calling her childhood name. Shia, it's me, Jobai. The name struck a chord in my mother. Her eyelids trembled as she struggled to open them. Is it you, my dear Jobai? Have you come to take me away? Mother rarely smiled. That was the first time I'd ever seen Mother so happy. After Jobai arrived, my mother's health visibly improved. From being bedridden to occasionally walking around. The smiles on my mother's face grew more frequent, pure and sweet. Those days with Jobai were the happiest times of my mother's life. Later, Jobai left, and Mother fell ill again. The illness ran deep, beyond any cure. By the time Jobai rushed back, Mother had already taken poison and ended her life. The only one he could save was me, who had accidentally been poisoned alongside her. Jobai sat by my bedside and asked, "Would you like to hear a story?" The story was cliched yet heartbreaking. Once there was a woman, beautiful and dignified, gentle as water. She loved to sing, her voice melodious. Her songs were sung only for her family and her beloved. Her beloved was her childhood sweetheart, the son of an imperial physician. Childhood friends, well-matched, deeply in love, they should have married. As affections blossomed, the pangs of longing found no outlet. Thus, beneath flowering boughs and moonlit skies, the maidens softly sang. These melodies, meant for her beloved, instead captivated a young scholar who passed by. Night after night, the youth kept vigil, listening. Through song, he came to know her until the melodies plucked at his heart. Upon learning the lady had not yet been betrothed, the gentleman came to propose marriage. It happened that the lady's family had encountered trouble and needed the gentleman's influence. Though reluctant, the lady, for her family's sake, hardened her heart and married him. Yet longing is hard to sever. Day by day, her sorrow grew into illness. Jobai said he didn't blame my mother. It was all the tricks of fate. What Jobai didn't say was that he remained unmarried his whole life, waiting for my mother. What he didn't say was how he gave up his position to open a clinic near our manor just to glimpse my mother. Jobai never mentioned he'd avoided seeing my mother for over a decade, hoping she would let go. It wasn't until he heard she was terminally ill that he rushed over, only to become the final blow. Jobai lowered his brows, his gaze filled with sorrow as he pleaded. "Don't blame your mother. She was just ill for many years. I remember that day when I went to give my mother her medicine. The medicine had been sitting on the table, untouched. I coaxed her. 'Mother, the medicine isn't bitter. Let me try it first.' Mother sat woodenly, her face filled with despair. I took small sips. 'Mother, the medicine isn't bitter, it's sweet.' Mother stared at me with vacant eyes. Then she took the bowl and drank it in one gulp. Actually, I lied. That bowl of medicine was very bitter. Not only bitter, but excruciatingly painful. The pain left my voice so damaged I couldn't make a sound. I imagine Mother must have despised her beautiful singing voice. Had it not been for that voice, she wouldn't have attracted Father. She couldn't blame anyone else, so she had no choice but to torment herself. Perhaps only by destroying her voice could she find peace. I don't want to blame Mother. She did nothing wrong. She was trapped by circumstances, Just ill. Neither Jobai nor father did anything wrong either. They were all sincere. Later, Jobai exhausted himself trying to cure the poison in my body. After 3 years, he cured my voice and cleared the remaining poison. Thus, he could finally follow my mother with a clear conscience. He took poison the day I was declared cured. Father returned from war to find his wife dead and his son clinging to life. The tragedy crushed father's spirit. He rapidly withered away, growing increasingly silent. The once cheerful home was reduced to ruins. The day my throat was healed, yet I still couldn't make a sound, I knew I was already damaged. My world had fallen into silence. I didn't want to listen, nor did I want to speak. I didn't wish to interact with others, nor did I care about the outside world. Dao was the only one who could stay by my side. Yet Lian barged right through all my defenses with her brash manner. She's clearly a princess, yet chatters away without dignity. From mundane trivialities to gossip, she recounts them with relish in my ear. I should have been annoyed, but I grew accustomed to it. Now I find myself unable to do without it. She loves brightly lit places, always dragging me out to bask in sunlight. The sunlight falls upon us, mingling with her murmurs, warm as home once was. She loves spicy food, the spicier the better. I took a bite and my face turned crimson from the heat. She burst into laughter, chattering endlessly. I found myself thinking this wasn't so bad. She always carries candy and once tossed one into my mouth. The sweetness spread across my tongue, overwhelming the bitterness of that medicinal brew from years past. Perhaps all these changes weren't so terrible. She's truly skilled at teasing, capable of making others change expressions with every word, yet never truly provoking anger. I couldn't help but flee several times. Yet watching her chase after me, panting, I found myself enjoying it. She came running toward me with quick steps, flashing a radiant smile. "I've caught you, Rhen." The silent world was abruptly shattered, filled with unending noise. In that fleeting moment, I realized my world didn't have to return to tranquility. Only when I learned she was in mortal danger did I understand how much she meant to me, placed upon the tip of my heart, surpassing my very life. The moment Dao told me Lian had been kidnapped, my heart stopped. Actual physical pain shot through my chest. I couldn't breathe. At the critical moment when I found her, I loosed that arrow. My hand was steady, yet my heart trembled on the verge of shattering. Only when she threw herself into my arms, when I felt her warmth so vividly, did my heart find peace. "Lian," I wanted to tell her. "I've got you. I'll always protect you." The wedding night, when she pinned me down, when she whispered those bold things in my ear, I felt my control slipping. The desire I'd suppressed, the words I'd held back, everything came flooding out. "Keep talking," I told her. "Don't stop. I want to hear your voice forever." Married life with Lian is never quiet, never boring, never lonely. Every morning she wakes me with her chatter. Every meal is accompanied by her commentary. Every evening she talks until we both fall asleep. Some days I still flee from her, playing our game of chase. But I never run too fast. I always let her catch me. Because the truth is, I don't want silence anymore. I want her voice, her laughter, her endless stories. My world is full of noise now, full of life, full of her. And I wouldn't have it any other way. Lian, my chattering princess, my beloved wife, you saved me from silence. You brought me back to life. You taught me that words can heal as well as harm. I love you, even when you won't stop talking. Especially when you won't stop talking. Because your voice is the sweetest sound I've ever heard, the sound of home and love and life itself. Thank you so much for watching this tale at Lotus Tale Studios. If you enjoyed the story of Lian and Rhen, please subscribe to our channel and hit that notification bell so you never miss our daily stories. Leave a comment below telling us your favorite moment. Was it when Lian made Rhen speak? When he saved her? Or their wedding night? We'd love to hear from you. Don't forget to like this video and share it with friends who love romance stories. See you in the next tale.